there's a brand new PNGtuber app on the market, and it seems to offer different options than what you would find on a software like Viadotube Mini or the simple OBS image reaction plugin. So let's check it out. From what I understand, it was developed by this creator,
MOZ3,
and they made this video showcasing it. Now, the whole thing is in Japanese, but there is the auto dub if you want to watch it. I'll put a link in the description. In order to get the app, there's a link in the description, which sends us to a GitHub. Scroll all the way down until you find the .exe file. Click on it to download and open it. It'll show up as MOZ3 Anime Studio. When you open it for the first time, you'll see that you already have an example. Your options are in the sidebar and the settings are top right. I'll start by turning on my microphone right there. And now we can see that it switched to the silent pose. That means that my microphone is not being picked up. And we can fix that by going to the settings over there. And right here is where you choose your microphone. Okay. And now we can see it's reacting. Let's close this for now and have a look at how it actually reacts. You can see that there's multiple types of reactions happening. There's multiple drawings, and that's actually because it's actually switching between multiple states. You can see that the pictures are changing here. And the way that works is up top here, there is some sort of detection of your tone, I guess, or something automatic where it's basically switching in between multiple profiles in order to add variety, but also kind of like match what's going on. So that is one of the original features that I haven't seen anywhere else for this. It's completely automatic. You don't have to touch anything, which means that in each of those, you can actually upload multiple images. And I'll show you later like how to set up your images to put in there. You can also set up a silent pose. If you stop speaking for a little bit, basically it will go into, quiet mode. And of course, you can set, how many seconds before it actually goes into silent mode. So let's check out the side panel. Here you have a transparency mode that you can turn on, and it basically places your PNGtuber as a transparent thing just on your desktop. We can hover over it and then click here to bring it back. Over there, we have the microphone and we have the sensitivity. So lower means it will capture you less, blah, 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 blah. And higher means that it'll be more sensitive, so it will capture you more. Something else to notice here is that there is a breathing animation going on throughout the whole thing. Even when you're not speaking, your character will be breathing. Okay, I pretty much turned off my mic, and as you can see, it's going up and down as if it was breathing. You can adjust that. So right now it's pretty much idle, it's breathing, and you can click on it to turn it off. So now it's completely immobile. Turn it back on, and you can make it a little bigger, so it's more noticeable now. Big breaths or less, 100% here. And then you have the breathing speed where you can make it breathe pretty fast. Let's go 100%. And now you can really see that bounce. Let's bring that down. So down here, when I speak, it's gonna switch because of that automatic switching thing, but it's basically the animation when you speak. So let's try to upload something to demonstrate. In order to put your own, you can click up top here. This is where you set up like a different profile altogether. And basically what you need is your character with just the mouth. So full character with mouth, and then the eyes are going to be put up separately. Based on the emojis, we want character mouth closed. I'm dragging and dropping straight from my desktop or straight from my Windows Explorer, and I have this character that I made. Then there's mouth slightly open, drop it here. Then you have mouth fully open, okay? Bow, bow. And if I bump up the sensitivity, you can kind of see what's going on. It's creating like such a smoother animation. I love it. And finally, if you're being super loud, we have mouth wide open. So 4 images just for the mouth. You don't have to use all of them. It'll automatically adjust if you're missing 1 or 2. For the eyes, we have opened eyes right here. We have eyes half open over there. And finally, eyes closed right there. So you can see that the blinking is happening automatically. This is so cool. It looks like a full-on animation. So now that we have our character, we can establish what it does when it moves. So this is like lively. So it, rotates a little bit when you talk. On the right, we have grow. So it actually grows when you speak. At the bottom here, you have bounce. So it bounces when you speak, kind of like what we have in Viadotube, but maybe a little smoother. And then finally, we have trembling. So it literally like shakes, vibrates, if you will, when you talk. The next option here is basically the screen color. So if you want the background to have a green screen, blue screen, magenta, or just transparent, you're also able to play some background music if that's something that you're into. So right here, you can upload your audio file. There are some examples in here that you can choose. And finally here, you have manual save, knowing that everything is saved automatically. On the right here, you have a reset button. I'm not completely sure, but I think it resets your settings. And at the bottom, there's a pretty much factory resets the entire app. Now, something to note is that you can also kind of transform your model. If I double click, you can see my mouse, I'll double click, and now I can kind of place it around, move it around, even rotate it, okay? Which is pretty nice. If I mess up, what I can do is go find this button at the bottom here and click on it to reset the placement. All right, for more options, let's open up the settings tab. On top, we know it's mic selection. The second option we have here is smooth facial expressions. Basically, it creates some sort of dampening effect on like the switching. You can even adjust, you know, how many milliseconds it'll take to basically go from one to another. And it gives you the impression that the whole thing is kind of smoother. Let me put a whole lot of it. Yeah, I guess like it's easing into the animation a little bit better. That is so cool. Here we have the pitch sensor that I told you about. And the way you use this, if you have a bunch of your own illustrations, is by clicking right there. Okay, so different from the profile. Profile is here, and then like the different images, I guess, are right there. So if you were to add another one, I don't have more, it would automatically detect your pitch and actually switch in between those. So you can have an illustration that is way more excited versus your normal one. And you can have up to 10 tabs right now, which means that you can have like a very expressive PNGtuber going on. Next up in the settings is that silent expression that I told you about. So you can set up how long will it take to basically switch to that. I believe in order to get this working, you actually have to create a new one and then double click on the name and type the word silent in Japanese. And I go here and then I'm gonna stop speaking and I'll bring this down to 1 second. And here I'm gonna add a whole different one just to make sure that it works. Okay, now I believe I wrote it right. All right, let's test it. So if I talk into the microphone for a little bit, it should switch on its own, and there it is. It switches. I just turned down the sensitivity so it doesn't hear me anymore, but as you can see, it switches to silent mode. All you have to do is name the tab silence. I'll try to put the characters in the description so you can just copy paste it. That's pretty cool. I'll probably adjust it so that it activates a little bit longer. Then under that, in these settings, this is basically a hold expression. So, you know, it's switching between expressions depending on your pitch or your tone. This basically forces it to keep at least one expression for a certain amount of time, which you can absolutely adjust. It avoids it like completely jittering or just flickering. Then here, once you're ready, you can click on this. This is like the capture mode. What it's gonna do is basically hide everything. So once your setup is over and you're ready to put it in OBS Studio and whatever broadcasting software you use, you just click on this. And as you can see, it's right there. And I'm gonna try to put it in OBS, but bear with me because I'm using OBS to record OBS right now. What I'm gonna do is find a window capture right there. I'm gonna call it MOZ3, click OK. Then under window, I'll pick the Animate Studio. There it is. You can keep the capture method in automatic or set it to Windows 10. Capture cursor is not something you usually want, so we'll turn that off and click OK. And just like that, you can see it works. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go back here to see what it does when you have all the options, but I'm gonna turn that up because I want it to actually work. And then click on top here. This is the equivalent of what we saw in the settings. When you're ready to capture, just plop and then go back to OBS as if nothing happened. Now I'm inside OBS, I'm going to scale it up and you can place it wherever you want. One thing to keep in mind is that you kind of want the tab to be open somewhere. If you minimize the tab, it's going to disappear. So make sure you keep it open and then open up whatever you want on top of it, okay? That way it stays active technically, okay? And there you have it. Hopefully I can spend some time to create more of those to get more expressions or maybe a completely different PNGtuber. If you have an artist that makes your PNGtubers, call them right now because there's work. There's work to be done. Once again, make sure you go show some love to the creator. I will link their video in the description. I'll link the GitHub. And then I'll put that little Japanese words for silence